Welcome to Noise and Nonsense, the podcast where the volume is always cranked to 11 and the conversation is sometimes, well, nonsensical. We're here to celebrate the loud, the weird, and the unapologetically noisy. Whether it's punk, rock, metal, shoegaze, or whatever else may be rattling your speakers. I'm Stephanie.
And I'm David.
So when this Throne of Iron on the first, or is early grade?
Okay. Throne of Iron.
Yeah. So when Throne of Iron airs, I will have either survived or not survived a trip to Disney World.
Oh yes. Are you excited for that?
I am excited. I'm overwhelmed right now trying to learn. Everything's like app based.
Yeah.
Like you have to like plan absolutely every second of your day.
Yeah. You have to like reserve times for rides.
If you buy a Lightning Pass, which I think is recommended if you want to get the most bang for your buck, kind of. Of course, it's an added cost, but like just trying to figure out that. And then Joshua and I were like trying to work on the app last night. Okay. And then he did something and it was like, crap, what did we just do to Lincoln's profile? So now we have to, we have to like we have to call and like get everything fixed. So it's like, this is not starting out well. Like we don't even know how to like register our trip, let alone like figure out this app. But I think once we figure it out, it'll be a blast. But
and how long are you staying?
So we're going to be there. We arrive Monday and we're camping. So we're staying at the campground on Disney like property, but Monday through, and then we leave Friday, I guess. So we have 3 days in the park. But this year, apparently, like if you're staying on property, the first day you get there, you get free access to their water park.
Oh, that's awesome.
So I think we're going to try to do that Monday, and then over. And then our last day we're going to end at Epcot because I've heard it's like the most chill park. So
yeah, but I've heard good things about Epcot. I've never been to any of the Florida attractions, but I want to go.
Yeah, I haven't. I've only been once, and I was in third grade.
I have a buddy that worked for a company that built the Millennium Falcon for that Disney exhibit.
Yeah,
he had which is pretty cool. Kind of jealous about that.
Yeah, we are very, 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 very excited about the about that exhibit. Just all the Star Wars. I think all the Star Wars stuff is at Hollywood Studios.
Maybe.
We're still learning all of this stuff.
the 4,000 segmentations of
it's like we've been
Disney.
watching all these YouTube videos, and it's kind of ridiculous it's like, I'm going on vacation, and I'm going to be so tired when I'm done.
You always need that day, maybe day and a half to recover from vacay.
Yeah, which we've got that, like, got it in there. The song I Want to Be Your Secret that we released, it was inspired by the Monkey Paw legend.
Oh, yeah, like getting your wishes.
Yeah, so it's like, obviously, if you listen to the song, it has nothing to do with that, but it was, I played D&D, and one of the members of my D&D group was like, you should write a song about the Monkey Paw. So I started like diving into the legend of the Monkey Paw, and then was like,
awesome.
Then just kind of wrote that out of it.
And this week we welcome Throne of Iron into the studio. How you doing?
I'm doing just dandy.
Would you like to introduce yourself?
Yeah, my name is Tucker Thomason. I'm the main guy in Throne of Iron.
Awesome. Who is missing from Throne of Iron today?
Today, that would be Jacob Lett, our drummer. Corwin Deckard is the other guitar player, and Arzab of the Howling Abyss is our bass player, but I'd like to think that he's with all of us in our hearts.
Awesome, very much. Thank you for coming in and spending some time with us. Just before you got here, Stephanie and I were nerding out on some Dungeons and Dragons talk and talking campaigns. Somewhat related, album, or Venture 2, I almost said album 2. Venture 2 just released this week for you. How has the release gone for you?
Extremely well. It still feels kind of surreal to me that this is happening because No Remorse Records is like the only label that I actually wanted this stuff to come out on. So it was very serendipitous that they reached out to us like right after I put out the first demo.
Okay.
And this is our second record with them. Well. And it's been a really, really solid response. We've gotten less of the of what I call the German compliment. That
Yeah. What's the German compliment?
the German compliment is I've talked about this with a few other guys in other bands, but there's this thing that happens where you will get a review, and I call it the German compliment because it's always like a German blog, and they will absolutely eviscerate you. They will rip you apart. They will say, "Oh, the guitars are amateur hour. The solos need to be better. The vocals aren't very good." But they'll give you like a 9 out of 10 at the end of it. There's been a little less of that, and not that it bothers me. I think it's funny. I think the cultural differences like that I've learned from doing this whole thing
Yeah.
are fun.
Yeah, that's so the band that I'm in, we were lucky. We got a interview from like a German like fanzine like out like can't remember what it's called. I just completely blanked on it. But maybe Thrust maybe. But it was kind of like word for word from our interview, which we had to ask like friends who could speak like German to like read the article to us because we're like, we have no idea what they're really saying about us.
Yeah,
but,
yeah.
but we were lucky for, I guess they were nice.
No, the bass player sucks. 9 out of 5. 9
Yeah.
5. That's awesome. A few weeks ago, you had your album release party at Black Circle. It's a cool ass venue. You played with Violent Equity, Sacred Leather.
That was it.
That was it.
Yep.
Yeah. How'd that show go?
That was fantastic. I've been a medium to gigantic fan of Violent Equity for a very long time. I'm actually really waiting for them to put out the full length album that I recorded and mixed and mastered for them. So they were a little apologetic at the end. It's like, oh, I messed up in a few parts. It's like, dude, I'm pretty sure I'm the only one who noticed because I've listened to these songs literally hundreds of times. And Sacred Leather coming back is going to be a huge boost for this kind of music in Indianapolis. I mean, they were really respected before they decided to hang it up for a bit, and I'm glad that they're back.
How long was their hiatus for?
6 years.
Oh, damn. Yeah, that's awesome.
Mm-hmm.
I guess you said the style of music for the people who are listening who maybe have never listened to your music yet. Could you explain
Sure.
your take on your music, like your style, genre?
We just call it dungeon crawling heavy metal, but at the end of the day, it really is more from like the traditional heavy metal school of thought. It's very late 70s, early 80s. If I had to, the two bands that I always throw out when people ask us for influences are Manila Road and Accept. We get Maiden and Priest a lot, but I think that's just because that's in the common like lexicon.
Yeah.
That's the where everybody kind of gets context from. But it's a lot of Accept for us. Like Corwin, the other guitar player, and I, we've listened to way too much Accept.
Okay. I have to go back and listen to some. I was telling Steph that this week I was just like listening to your album. Obviously it released, but we're doing research as well, of course. And I was just listening. Like it makes me smile because it does bring me back to like the early days of me getting into metal. And it's like your harmony style is super awesome to use. And it's like really tasteful and something that satisfies something in my ear.
That's always something that I when I set out making this kind of music was I wanted to make music that would make myself smile, and I wanted to make other people smile. I was kind of chasing the high of being like 12 or 13, and there was this weird transitional period of my life where instead of getting up early to watch Saturday morning cartoons, it turned into watching VH1 classics like 80s metal music video block. And I was just kind of trying to distill that basically. And that's all this band really is.
It's funny you say that because actually I was telling David I was listening to this while I was cleaning yesterday, and it actually like nostalgically threw me back to when I first started like playing guitar. And I would be like sitting up in like my grandma's like upstairs and like having the dream of hoping to be in like a metal band.
Yeah.
And then I was just like, so your music took me back there. So I was like, yeah, I was probably like 11, 12 back then. So
I think it really does tap into that's really the goal, right? I'm trying to tap into that kind of like collective to get Jungian about it, a collective unconscious, that core memory that a lot of people, especially from like, I don't know, middle America flyover state zone, that a lot of us seem to have.
Yeah.
Now, did Venture 2, does that follow a core story? Are they individual stories with themselves, the songs that I'm thinking of?
There's a loose overarching theme across like 3 or 4 of the songs. a lot of it is us trying to explain to people what happened to the old bass player, because there's like 3 layers of reality. If we want to get really weird and meta with how we do this band, there's like 3 layers of reality. There's, you know, us as the people who exist in the year of our Lord 2025 in Bloomington, Indiana, and then there's the other version of the same band that exists in some vague 80s wood paneled basement, also in the Midwest, in like some alternate reality that I'm plagiarizing all of their songs from. And then there's the players, the characters that those people are playing in their actual D&D campaigns. Okay. So what the overarching story of Adventure 2 is figuring out, like, in game, these guys are trying to rescue their bassist, who in reality probably just like got tired of playing D&D or got a girlfriend or something, or like got a crappy job. So now the DM is like trying to like shoehorn some kind of like side quest in there for them to go rescue their bass player from the abyssal plane. And then by the end of it, instead they have like a demonic NPC following them around instead. And that's where the bass player comes in.
Okay.
Because that's,
yeah, that's super awesome. I like layered stories like that. Yeah.
So do you have any games you're playing right now? Like any?
Right now, the only games I'm playing are video games, which kind of sucks. Just I got switched to nights over at my day job. So it kind of put the damper on being able to do anything fun in the evenings for a bit. Well, I'm hoping that's very, very, very temporary, because I would like to get back to doing tabletop gaming. I have a very nice gaming table that I built in my basement, like right after I bought my house, that I've not been able to use very much for anything other than collecting dust.
Yep. You want to talk a little bit about Mega Dungeon? Because you also run a studio.
Yeah. I run a recording studio out of my house in Bloomfield, Indiana, called the Mega Dungeon. In contrast to the name, it is not very mega. It is it is half of my basement, which isn't a very sizable house, but it's big enough to get the job done. I built it out over the course of maybe a year and a half, something like that. Projects like that always take longer and end up costing more than you would think, and that was definitely true for this. I knew exactly what I wanted going in, but even by the end of it, there were some things that I would have done differently. So if I get a chance to build another studio, I have some things I'm going to do a little different. But it's got a live and a control room, totally separated. I've done every due diligence that I possibly can to soundproof it to the outside world, and I haven't had any issues with like neighbors or anything like that. The only like rub that I have is that one of my cats really, really hates when people record drums. So he goes and hides.
Poor thing.
He's got designated hidey areas that I know that he'll be safe in. Yeah. But I mean, it's been a blast doing this stuff. I've made some records that sound really, really cool that I'm a huge fan of. Adventure 2 was recorded there.
Yep.
I'm thrilled with how it's turned out. It's a very like working space. It definitely looks like Peepaw's basement down there. It's
Stranger Things.
I love looking at like flipper houses and like real estate ads.
Yeah.
And everything is just flipper gray, and like they tear out or paint over all the paneling, and I'm just the one asshole who decided that he was going to put paneling back in his house.
Yeah. I should show you. My buddy found a house. It is in complete shit condition, but there's like a giant studio board in the basement of all things.
Nice.
And he's thinking about buying it just for the studio board.
Just for the board.
Just downstairs.
Just make sure that that's in the closing, and it's
Yeah,
not like
this
he buys the
stays.
house and it's gone.
To be fair, like when I bought my house, that was like something that I insisted remained with the house, was that there's one of the concrete gooses on the front porch.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
And I was just like, no, the goose stays, bud.
Yeah.
You also did you do the remaster for Adventure 1 at Mega Dungeon 2, or
I did a remix of the side quest.
it was Side Quest, I'm sorry.
Yeah, we did I did a remix of the side quest. I did the original there too, but I just was not happy with. I think I was just getting ear fatigued from working on so many other projects there, and I was stressed from like building the thing at the time.
Yep.
I just was not thrilled with how the original version of the side quest sounded. So I revisited it last, I don't know, summer, and felt really good. I basically just took all the stuff that I learned from doing Adventure 2 and just went back to this other material and just gussied it up a bit.
Yep.
I'm kicking around doing remixes of some other older stuff too, if I can find the multi-tracks or the stems or whatever the hell kids are calling them these days, the files.
Yeah.
If I can find the files, I'll do that again because it's fun for me. This is always a learning experience. I'm always like trying to be a sponge and soak up as much knowledge about this stuff as I can.
Yeah.
And you said you are recording like other people in your studio as well?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Nice.
Vile Iniquity, who we played with at the release show, their record, I'm not sure when it's going to come out, but it's maybe the most fun thing that I think I've done. It's very like black and death metal with like an 80s kind of sheen on it.
Yeah.
It's really fun stuff.
You just finished recording my band's sister band, Omen Killer.
Yeah.
That will be coming out
Hopefully
by
soon.
by the release of this pretty soon.
Yeah, ideally.
What I've heard, it sounds thick as shit.
It is definitely like the most disgusting and dense thing that I've tracked down there so far. I mean, it was less work than I thought it would be, frankly.
Yeah.
But it's just, the end result is just bizarre. It is just so fucking dense.
Yeah. That's like, but it comes through with like, it's clear, it's not just farts in a microphone.
And there's something to be said for that. I think that you get a lot of, they don't really cover how to record or mix nasty sludge metal tuned to drop G at recording school. That's just something you have to figure out from doing it.
Yeah.
When you have guitars tuned down where basses should be and basses tuned down to where farts should be.
Yep.
You kind of have to like do some mental math here to figure out when you're looking at a graphic EQ, like, what am I even doing here anymore?
Yeah. Did you used to, way back in the day, build cabinets? Were you doing something like that?
Yeah. A girlfriend of mine at the time and I built a few guitar and bass cabinets. We didn't do too many of them. I think we only did like a handful. But I mean, I still use those 412s.
I was about to ask, do you just use them in the studio?
I brought them out for the Thorax reunion show that we played last April. I brought them out for that just because everybody was like, that's an iconic like Thorax thing. You've got to bring their Uruz cabs back.
Yep. Now, what gear are you using when you're playing live?
It's kind of gone through flux lately. From 2020 until pretty recently, I was using the Hot Tone Ampero multi-effects just for simplicity because we do like fly out for shows pretty frequently.
Yep.
That, and I have the ISP Stealth ultralight power amp. It's a little 180 watt solid state power amp. It's like the size of a pedal, like a Boss pedal, and that just hangs out on my pedal board, and I can plug that into whatever cab is available on the back line, and it's consistent.
That's crazy.
The Ampero started developing a power supply issue, so I kind of went back to my old way of doing things where I love effects pedals. I have a bunch of them. I have drawers full of them in the studio, and I wanted to get back into that. I love single effects.
Yeah.
So for the release show, I started running single effects again. So I have the same TC Polytuner that I've had since like 2010. I've had this tuner pedal for 15 years and it still works because it's the only one that I can kind of see the display on when I take my glasses off because I'm super nearsighted.
Yep.
I have a mini tube screamer, and then I have Moore makes this Chinese company makes these mini pedals that are like preamps, like captures of specific amps. I have a 5151 that I like running, and then I have one of their delays into the Stealth, and then into whatever cab is handy.
How does that differ from how when you're recording? What did you use for Adventure 2?
Oh, okay, Adventure 2, buddy. We have Corwin, my other guitar player. We have his PV6505. We use that for a lot of like the bass level tones. Typically, the way that I like to do things, if there's two guitar players, and I apply this to myself and to other bands that I work with, is we'll pick like a bass line tone, something that's like the meat and potatoes, pretty basic. Usually, it's something like a 5150 or a boosted Marshall kind of. So just something basic, and then have a layer of that for each guitar player. And then on top of that, for my guitars, I had my PV Roadmaster that I use for all the guitars in Adventure 1. that thing is just massive and heavy and gross. But you put a boost in front of it, it cleans up okay, tightens at the low end. And then for Corey's guitars, I think that was just all 6505. I'd have to look at my notes again. But I also did something a little unorthodox. Like for the longest time, people were like, "Oh, Tucker, like his signature thing is bunches of reverb. He puts a bunch of reverbs on everything that he records."
Yeah.
And that's not entirely true. I do like reverb, and I will abuse it from time to time. But what I really love doing is I like finding new ways to shoehorn the Boss HM2 pedal into everything that I can. And what that pedal does is it's like the core of the Swedish death metal guitar tone.
Yeah.
It does this thing where if you turn the mid-range knob all the way up, it makes a peak at 1,000 hertz that just makes everything you plug into it like sound like Kurt Ballou described it as an angry tractor. It just makes this crazy grinding sound. And I blended that in with the guitars on Adventure 2. I also did it on the bass.
Okay.
So the bass has a whole bunch of mid-range character that's kind of filling in the gaps in that frequency spectrum when the guitars are doing like harmony stuff. I just love doing things like that. I love doing little ear tricks.
Do you have any songs or any riffs or artists that drew you initially to music?
Oh, to music in general or to metal?
I'd say music in general. Maybe just
Yeah.
playing. And did you start out in like metal when you started playing? Did you start playing guitar? Was that like your first instrument?
Yeah,
or-
100%.
Okay.
Heavy metal was 100% the reason why I started playing guitar. I think if I were to pinpoint to like when I started playing, it was me getting a copy. I don't think you can get it. I think this is out of press, but there was a 2-disc CD set from Rhino Records that was initially it was a bunch of like Black Sabbath live bootlegs from the early 70s called Past Lives. And that was, I feel like that was what lit a fire under my ass and made me start playing guitar because like I was just reverse engineering Iommi riffs. And that it was that. And then like I got into 80s thrash and it's like, oh yeah, Megadeth, Metallica, whatever. But what the fuck is going on with Testament? Because like Eric Peterson from Testament is like one of my all-time favorite guitar players. And then like Accept, like Wolf Hoffman's riffs in Accept.
So since you started playing out, like obviously playing for metal, is there anything that would surprise our listeners that you listen to that is outside of the metal genre?
Lots of like 60s country. I'm a medium to gigantic Marty Robbins fan.
Oh yeah.
I have his biography, which is apparently a super rare book. My mom got that for me for my birthday like 2 years ago. That's my stupid party thing. It's like I get a little drunk and I'm like, hey, did you know that Marty Robbins also was a NASCAR racer? Because he was. And he was a pretty decent one too.
Yeah. I haven't heard that name in a while, but
Yeah.
my grandfather loved Marty Robbins. And
Like a core childhood memory for me is I have an uncle who works for the Department of Defense. He builds sniper rifles basically. And I have a very core memory of him building firearms in his shed and Marty Robbins gunfighter ballads like the red cover on cassette in the boombox. So that was, oh man.
yeah. You had mentioned Swedish death metal, and that is something I'm completely obsessed about. I think way back when I first met you, we had a short conversation about At the Gates.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, that Slaughter of the Soul was like an album that just kind of changed my musical thinking forever. And I've kind of almost stuck in that riff styling, that style of riffing. Yeah, mostly because of that album.
The Bjorler twins like triplet
Yes.
thing. I got when I bought that album, I was like 15 when I got it on CD, and Earache Records did a special edition where it came with like a making of DVD.
Oh, that's cool.
With it was Thomas and Frederick Nordstrom who engineered the record, like just breaking down almost song by song, like little things that they did. And I was never like a big King Diamond fan. I liked Merciful Fate, but I didn't listen to King Diamond.
Yep.
Because I assumed that there would be like, for some reason I had it in my head that there would be like a quality drop off. Because like I love Black Sabbath way more than I love solo Ozzy. My hot take is that Ozzy has always been carried by the musicians in his band.
Yeah.
Sorry. But so I put off listening to Solo King Diamond for a long time until I watched this At the Gates making of documentary, because Andy LaRocque from King Diamond did a guest solo on the song Cold.
Oh, I didn't even know that.
Yeah, that's Andy LaRocque from King Diamond,
That's
because
cool.
he was just working at a music store up the street from the studio where they were recording, and he was like setting up a guitar for them, and they were like, "Oh shit, that's Andy LaRocque from King Diamond," and they're like, "Do you want to have a guest solo on this?" And like, he walked in with his guitar, his like multi-effects pedal, plugged in, did 2 takes, left, and what you hear on the album are the 2 takes that he played on the
That's
song Cold.
Freaking
Nice.
cool. Now I'm gonna have to go back and listen to that again, and I'll have a new appreciation for that.
Oh yeah.
What was your first guitar, and what are you currently playing these days?
My first guitar, I'll tell you my first guitar and my first good guitar. My first guitar was one of the, oh man, it would have been back in like 2002 or 2003. You could get these First Act like starter pack Strats from Walmart.
Yep.
That was my first guitar.
That's
And
awesome.
I still have the amp.
Okay.
The guitar I painted for like an art project my junior year of high school, because by then I already had better guitars. So I was totally willing to just sacrifice this thing. It's hanging up at my mom's house. I do not play that guitar. I don't know if I could even set it back up.
Yeah.
But my first good guitar was actually my second guitar. My mom got me one of the JS series Jackson Super Strats.
yeah.
Nice.
Just a fixed bridge. It was like the most basic one, but that kind of like I was already into like 80s thrash, so I was like, oh yeah, Jackson guitar, that's the move.
Yep.
And that carries up until like really recently. I have a Jackson Warrior that I play pretty frequently. I have a Jackson Star that I've done a bunch of work on. I call it the Ham Star because I gutted the neck pickup out and I just have a Hams sticker over there.
That's cool.
I was kind of trying to do Chris Holmes from Wasp because he had the Bud. He had a guitar, a Hams, not a Ham Star. It was a star shape Jackson, but the whole front of it was the Budweiser label. So I was just kind of like riffing on that. But here around like right before Christmas, I'd had a crappy year, and I wanted to treat myself. And BC Rich came out with a new series of Ironbirds, and they've been so off and on about making the Ironbird, and that's my favorite shape from that company. And I'd never owned a good BC Rich. I've owned a couple crappy ones. So I was like, you know what? I'm going to try this out. And if I hate it, it's Sweetwater. I can just return the thing.
Yeah.
I get it. It's white, no, like very minimal fret markers, just a DiMarzio super distortion in the bridge, Floyd Rose. I haven't had a guitar with a Floyd on it in like 20 years. Get this thing. It's set up out of the box.
Yes.
And it's
That's
immediately like, it's like I get it in my hands and it's like suddenly I'm a better guitar player. And it's like, oh, damn it.
So did you follow the Sweetwater rule and let the guitar sit in the box in your house for like 24 hours before you took it out?
Hell no.
I know. Does anyone do that?
No.
Yeah,
I let it sit for maybe half an hour.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
like as soon as it arrives, you're like, oh,
It's coming out.
yeah.
And that's what I've been playing like non-stop since I got it. Like I feel bad. My Jacksons are kind of collecting dust because I just keep going back to this BC Rich. It's just the sickest thing.
I love the style. The BC Rich body styles are awesome. I had an old Warlock body in my parents' garage, which unfortunately burnt down like last year. But it was like an 84 Warlock, and I don't even play guitar, but I saw it on eBay for fairly cheap, and I was like buying that body just for why not? But yeah, I forgot while we were talking about Adventure 2, the feed store, Nat 20 Lager, or it was Hellas.
Yeah, it's a Hellas Lager.
Yeah, was brewed in conjunction with the release. Steve Corbin at Feed Store, fellow Bloomington hop jockey, came up with that for you. How does it taste? How is it? Is it pretty good?
It is very light and very, very tasty. I'd call it sweet, honestly.
Okay.
It's a really, really interesting on the palate. Like I tried it, and I just look at Steve and I go like, I could drink like 20 of these.
Yeah, yeah. And that as I get older, I feel like that's what I'm looking for in a beer, something that's light and drinkable.
I was absolutely a beer snob when I was like 21. I was just like, no, like the lowest I'll go is Guinness, and like if I can see through it, it's not a real beer. Like I was an asshole about it.
Yeah.
And then what happened is that I started playing more like punk house shows where there was just free beer.
Yep.
And then I started playing in a black metal band with some guys that were like 10 years older than me. And they always had hams around the practice space. And
Yep.
I tried it and I was like, this is fantastic. And they're like, yeah, if you walk into any Kroger in town with $10, a nickel, and 2 pennies, you can walk out with a case of this. And I was like, God damn, all right, off to the races.
Yeah. No, Hamm's is great. Yeah. I used to brew. I need to get back into brewing.
I've never tried it.
It's-
Steve makes me want to try it, but
It's all fun until you have to clean everything.
Oh,
and
God.
Then you're like,
Yeah.
this
Or you have
isn't
to
so much
wait
fun.
for it to
Yeah,
ready.
Yeah,
I used
weeks.
to grow hops. Had like
Oh, yeah.
over 200 hop like
Oh, wow.
plants, and then
Oh, that's awesome.
it was a lot of work.
Yeah.
So I don't have them anymore.
I grew hops once. I was going to brew beer with them, and then I never harvested, and that was the last time I grew hops.
Yeah.
Real.
I'm
It was a
gonna-
good time.
I'm going to take a
Great
whack
story.
at seeing how much of a green thumb I actually have this year, I think. I'm not going to grow hops. I really want to get some cabbage in the ground because I want to start making sauerkraut and kimchi.
Nice.
Kimchi is like one of my fucking favorite things.
I think
world.
that the American diet is sorely lacking in probiotics.
Yes. I brew kombucha. That's something I
Oh,
do
hell yeah.
fairly often. Yeah, I've been the only one drinking it, so it's got some sugar in it, so I think I'm starting to put some get some pounds from that shit. Do you have a dream setup? Like if you hit the lottery, what's your rig looking like if you have no budget?
I'll give you one for the studio and one for live. How about that?
I like it.
For live, I don't know, whatever flavor of the month modeler works the best and is the smallest and easiest to fly with, frankly. I'm all about just usability and just, I wouldn't say good enough, but it's basically that. It's like, what is going to sound good anywhere I go in the world that I don't have to adjust voltage for or anything like that. For the studio, I have some wish list amps for sure, and not just for like Throne of Iron stuff, but for the studio period. I really like to get an old Laney clip, the that Master of Reality tone.
Yep.
100% want one of those. They're a little prone to catching on fire if you don't have a good tech setting them up for US voltage. A Laney Supergroup. I like old Laneys. I think it's just the Iomi fanboy in me. I don't really want a Sun Beta Lead anymore. I have this pedal that like does the Beta Lead thing, like it's just so bang on. I don't really care anymore. A good like Marshall JMP, just a bone stock Marshall JMP would be really nice. I play little games with myself where it's like not even really like dream rig. It's like you drop me off in 1983 and I got to put a rig together.
Yeah.
Like what would you do?
What are you getting?
It's like, well, I mean, probably some kind of BC Rich because they were still making really solid BC Riches in America back then.
Yep.
And then, I don't know, put a super distortion in it, get a tube screamer or some kind of a graphic EQ, put it in front of a Marshall 800. I'm probably good to go. I'll be okay.
Yeah.
I can manage.
So it's now that we have you in a dream world, tell us your dream venue and the band that you would want to join you on the bill.
Damn. I like smaller venues. I really do. I have a place like even just attending shows. I tend to like smaller setups like that. Big rooms. Like I went to go see King Diamond last year at the Egyptian Room at the Murat, and that's about as big as I'd want to go. So something theater sized like that would be cool. But dream band. I'd like to tour with King Diamond too.
Yes.
That'd be really nice. Night Demon, who I wouldn't call us buddies, but like we've talked a few times here and there. Night Demon was the opening band on that package, and it's just like, oh man, that's cool. I've been listening to Night Demon for like 5 or 6 years.
That's cool.
That'd be nice. I'd like to do like get on a tour package where there's enough of a budget to do like the elaborate sets like Iron Maiden and stuff. But our sets would literally it'd be like Wayne's World whenever they finally get like the pro television budget, but it's literally just a repro of Wayne's basement. I would want that. I would want basically like Wayne Campbell's basement on stage that
be
we're
like
playing in.
Pink Floyd The Wall, but it's wood paneling instead.
Yeah,
And,
it's just wood paneling and ratty couches, and it kind of vaguely smells like cat piss.
Nice. Well, back in reality, do you have any shows coming up?
Nothing like really, really concrete scheduled right now. We have some bigger stuff that is in the works that I'm not allowed to talk about just yet. but we're in the planning stages of some things. I'm hoping that we can. We were supposed to play in Europe for the Adventure 1 release. We were supposed to play it up the Hammersfest in Greece. And then the travel ban came down an hour after we took off from New York.
Oh,
So I'm really hoping that that we can get back to Europe and like for real. I get to tell people like, oh yeah, my band's taking me to Europe. I got to see the inside of the Zurich airport when we had to turn around and immediately come back to America. That was a lot of fun.
is that what happened? They had you land and
100%.
then reboard.
Yeah, it was. We landed. I got the news right after I connected my phone to the plane's Wi-Fi, and then I kind of like stewed on it for like an hour, and I was just like, man, how am I going to break this news to the guys? Because I mean, we've been working towards this for months. I had like fundraising efforts out the wazoo because I had to come up with like $3,000 in flights, basically out of pocket. Did a lot of hustling on merch sales. So I stew on it for like an hour, and I get up and I unbuckle my seatbelt, go over to the other guys who are in the middle aisle, and I'm like, hey, so bad news. One, the fest is canceled. Two, there's a travel ban, so we got to come back to America like as soon as we land in Switzerland.
Oof.
And I was looking forward to our layover in Switzerland. Like on the way back, we had another layover in Zurich, and it was like 16 hours. So I was like, okay, we're going to go get this pass, and we're just going to go enjoy the nightlife in Zurich, and we're just going to be jet lagged as hell when we get back to America, but it's going to be fun. So they all react in different ways. Jacob, drummer, he's just like, oh, that sucks, puts his headphones back on, goes back to playing Skyrim. Corwin did not know that he had some like gluten thing going on at the time, and he just ate a bunch of airport pizza at JFK.
Oh, shit.
So he just goes back to vomiting. And then Evan, our bass player at the time, he just lets out this exacerbated sigh, and he reaches into his backpack under his seat, and he pulls out a gallon Ziploc bag full of Bushmills Irish whiskey shooters and just starts lining them up on the tray table in front of him. So he was sweating whiskey by the time we landed in Zurich. We get off the plane. We have to immediately go through customs to enter, in air quotes, Switzerland, go down to baggage claim to prevent our guitars from getting sent to Greece without us, run back up to the Swiss airlines terminal, and they're able to move our return flight up like 4 days earlier than it was supposed to. They didn't charge us for it. Swiss was super accommodating. I highly recommend Swiss Airlines. Go through customs again to go back to the terminal. This is the only time I've ever been stopped by airport security, was in Swiss customs, because
Going
I
through
had
customs, yeah.
they pulled my guitar multi-effects thing out of my backpack,
like,
and I
what
had to
the
explain this is
hell is
not a
this?
bomb. I plugged my guitar into it to make it sound cool.
Yeah.
We finally get to our gate, and we're like, okay, we've got like an hour to kill. We can get some beer, get a pretzel while we're here, and then like the stewardesses at the terminal at the gate were like, no, we've been holding the plane for you for 20 minutes. Get on.
Oh man.
They held it for us, to their
Yeah.
credit. Like, oh man, I must have read the time wrong. It was the departure was like 11 something, and I thought it was 1 something. I was like, oh
yeah.
damn,
That's a long flight
So-
too. How long is of a flight are you?
11 hours, something
Yeah.
like that. On our way from New York to Switzerland, this was like in the it was mid-March 2020, so it was like COVID was starting to get scary and real.
Yep.
So our plane from New York to Switzerland was about half full. Our plane from Switzerland back to New York had 12 people on it, and we were 4 of them.
Oh, that's crazy.
That is crazy.
It was bizarre.
That's that's eerie. Just not having people around you, especially like
Yeah.
you're used to flying. It's
packed.
yeah.
Oh yeah, yeah. So hopefully Adventure 2 gets us back to Europe. That would be nice. I'd like to see more of that continent than just the inside of the Zurich airport,
Yeah,
which
the Zurich
which is it's a
airport.
very concrete brutalist
Okay.
looking place, but you can see the mountains from it. That's nice.
Yeah.
Got a chance to smile for a second.
Yeah.
Yeah. What's the best place for folks to find you? Social media, your Bandcamp, any of that good stuff?
Instagram is the place where we post the bulk of our stuff. I know it's not a wise decision to put all your eggs in one basket on a social media platform. We learned that from when TikTok went dark for like 3 days. So we're on Instagram, we're on Facebook, we're kind of on TikTok, basically just to hold down the name so people can't impersonate us. We're on Blue Sky. On Twitter, I refuse to call it X.
Yeah, it's forever Twitter.
Yeah, it's forever Twitter in my mind. Bandcamp is the best place to purchase tunes. We have a web store, throneofiron.bigcartel.com. We are also on, Apple Music, Spotify. Putting us on Spotify playlists is a huge favor for us. I hate how much Spotify metrics matter now, but they do matter.
Yep.
New albums out. We used to do a songwriting exercise that I called Roll for Metal, where I would do dice rolls to pick the tempo and like drum patterns for songs.
Yeah.
I'm going to start probably doing that again.
Hell yeah.
So stay tuned for that.
That shit's fun as shit to watch. I like watching songwriting challenges like that on YouTube and stuff. And
Yeah,
It's
fun.
good creative exercises. It's easy to get kind of like lost in the weeds and get in your head and get writer's block. But I like anything that can break through that.
Yeah, that's awesome. Do you, as we wrap it up here, do you have any last thoughts that you want to spew out there?
Be excellent to each other and let's just have fun
Nice.
if we can.
yeah, awesome. Thank you very much, Tucker, for coming in and
Yeah,
spending
thank
some
you.
time with us. Congratulations on your album's release. It's awesome. Yeah, that'll bring us to the end of this episode. You can catch my band, The Devil Lettuce, August 29th at the Mag Bar in Louisville. May 24th, somewhere by Fort Wayne. I don't know. I'll have more information about that shit sometime. I don't know where it is.
You could catch us at the Bishop on April 18th.
Yes.
Yeah.
I almost spaced it. April 18th with Star Viper from Pittsburgh. They're like Children of Bodom if they were way more on the nose about the drinking problem. They describe themselves as black and roll for that last mission before you turn in your wings.
Okay.
Nice.
And Omen Killer is on that too.
Hell
Nice.
yeah.
And you can catch my band. We're playing April 5th at the Orbit Room. We'll be doing a local live for WFHB May 5th, and we're going to be doing the Bloomington City of Bloomington Park show on a Sunday, June 29th at Bryan Park.
Awesome.
Thanks
Thank-
for listening.
Bye-bye. Make sure to follow us on Instagram at Noise and Nonsense Podcast. If you are interested in being a guest, email us at noiseandnonsensepodcast@gmail.com. Thank you very much for listening, and we'll catch you next time. Bye-bye.